Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are diving into another juicy Reddit post today. It's got a lot of people talking, and it's one of those that really hits on relationships and choices.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating. This seemingly simple story,
Yeah.
like on the surface, it's just this trip, but it brings up all these questions about like societal expectations and gender roles.
Right, and it's interesting to see how people react to it online because you get such a variety of perspectives.
Totally. And that's kind of what drew me to this one, right? It's like a
Yeah.
little microcosm of like these bigger cultural conversations
Uh,
that we're having.
Okay, so let's break down the situation for those who haven't seen the post. So we have this woman. She wins an all expenses paid cruise from her job, Marriott.
Nice.
Sounds pretty amazing, right?
Dream come true.
Right. But here's the catch. Her boyfriend is completely against her going.
Why's that?
Well, he says it's because he's concerned about her safety. It's a solo trip to Mexico. And, yeah, he's just not comfortable with it.
Yeah. Okay, so like the protective boyfriend thing?
Yeah, something like that. But here's where it gets kind of interesting, right? She offered to pay for half of his expenses so he could go with her,
Oh, really?
and he still refused.
Interesting. That does make you wonder if it's really about safety or something else.
Exactly. And then to add another layer to this whole thing, she's 32 years old and has four brothers.
Okay.
And all of them are siding with the boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
Like, one brother even went as far as to say she was being a bad girlfriend and disrespecting her partner by even considering going.
Whoa. Okay, so it's like a whole family dynamic playing out here.
Yeah, and you can definitely sense her frustration in the post. Like, she says at one point, he told me he can't believe I'd sacrifice 8 years together for a 3-day cruise.
Oof, that's heavy. It sounds like he's framing it as if like she's choosing the cruise over him, like some sort of ultimatum.
Right. And she even points out the irony of it. She's like, I can't believe HE would threaten 8 years together over a measly 3-day cruise that I won. It's that feeling of like, really?
It does make you think, right? Like, how much autonomy is healthy in a relationship? When does being considerate of your partner's feelings cross over into like stifling your own needs and wants?
Exactly. And then there's this other detail that just adds fuel to the fire. The cruise prize didn't include a plus one option.
Oh, really? That's strange.
Yeah. And, this is where it gets even more eyebrow raising. From what we've seen with other corporate incentive trips and especially cruises, it's actually pretty uncommon for companies to not offer a plus one.
Yeah, that does seem a little odd, especially for a company as big as Marriott. These trips are often seen as like a reward and a chance to, enjoy time with someone you care about or even a coworker.
So it's like this perfect storm of suspicious details, right?
Yeah, no wonder people are skeptical.
The comment section is just full of people like, wait a minute, something's not adding up here.
I mean, you see comments like the math ain't mathin', and others saying something definitely fishy there. It's like a whole Reddit investigation unfolding.
Right. And it's not just the lack of plus one, it's the boyfriend's reaction on top of it. Makes you wonder what's really going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, it's like tapping into that psychology of jealousy and possessiveness, right?
Yeah.
For some people, just the thought of their partner being away, even for work, it can trigger all sorts of anxieties.
Like that fear of potential infidelity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if there's no reason to believe it would actually happen, it's like they see any time apart as a threat.
I saw one comment that said, I've worked in hotels before, and I've seen firsthand a lot of shady stuff coworkers get up to. Your boyfriend thinks you're going to cheat 100%.
Wow.
And, we have to remember, we're only hearing one side of the story, right? We don't know their history, if there's been past issues with trust, anything like that.
That's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in the online drama, but there's always more to the story than what we see on the surface. Who knows what's really going on?
I mean, that's part of what makes this case so intriguing, right? It forces us to ask these big questions about trust, boundaries, and the balance between individual needs and the commitments we make in relationships. It's like we're all armchair psychologists trying to figure it out together.
Absolutely. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. The story goes so much deeper, and we're just getting started with unraveling it all.
Exactly. And it's not just about the boyfriend's reaction, right? She actually offered a compromise.
Oh, really? What did she say?
So she told him she would pay for half of everything if he'd just go with her.
Hmm. So she was willing to put her money where her mouth is.
Yeah. And, it shows she was trying to address his concerns, right?
Yeah,
Make him feel more comfortable.
definitely. It's like she was trying to find a win-win.
Totally. But he refused. He said it wasn't about the money, that he just didn't want to go to Mexico.
Oh, wow. Okay, so then what?
Well, here's where it gets even more kind of tricky. She mentions in the post that he's planning a month-long trip to visit his family in the States.
Hold on. A month versus a 3-day cruise.
Yep. And she's totally supportive of that trip, even saying he needs to go because his grandparents are unwell. But it does make you think, right?
Yeah, it seems kind of like a double standard.
Right. And a lot of the comments picked up on that. They're like, wait a minute, he could be gone for a month, but she can't go for 3 days.
That's totally fair. It
Yeah.
does kind of fuel the perception that it's not really about safety, like maybe it's more about control.
Yeah, there was one comment that really nailed it. It said, he should go on the cruise with you if he's worried about you, and otherwise let you enjoy your time. I would never tell my GF she couldn't go on a trip, especially a free one.
I mean, that's a pretty common sentiment you see online, right? Especially in these kinds of relationship discussions, people emphasizing the importance of trust and independence.
Totally. And, let's not forget the potential impact this could have on her career.
Right. This isn't just a vacation, it's a work thing.
Exactly. She was chosen for this cruise. It probably means her employer sees potential in her party.
And some comments were saying that this could be a big networking opportunity. A chance to connect with higher ups, maybe even lead to a promotion.
Like one person who claimed to work in the hotel industry, they said, if they put you up for this award and you refuse it for no good reason, you will not be the one they think of when advancement opportunities come along.
Oof. Yeah, that puts it into perspective.
So it's not just a personal decision, it could have real professional consequences.
Which kind of adds to that whole argument about the boyfriend's ultimatum being unfair. Like, not only is it not cool on a personal level, but it could also be holding her back professionally.
And, okay, so we've talked about the fishy details and the double standards and the career stuff, but let's be real, part of what makes this Reddit post so great are the reactions themselves.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The comment section is wild.
Some of them are hilarious. Like, there are people coming up with conspiracy theories about the boss rigging the contest.
And others saying it's all a setup for an affair.
Right. And then you've got all the relationship advice.
Yeah.
Everything from go to couples therapy to dump him, girl.
My favorite was, you'll meet a better boyfriend on the cruise. Classic Reddit.
Yeah, they don't hold back. But beyond the jokes, there are actually some really insightful comments.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Some people really hit the nail on the head with their analysis.
Like one comment that stood out to me was, if he was protective, he'd go. If he was controlling, he'd tell you not to go.
Whoa, that's a good one.
Right. It really gets to the core of what makes a relationship healthy, like true care versus just wanting to control the other person.
And there was another one that I thought was super thought-provoking. It said, you offered to pay half so he could come. He refuses and then says you'll risk your relationship for a 3-day cruise. If he cared about the relationship, he could just attend that 3-day cruise. Sounds like he doesn't understand that sometimes you have to compromise, and you gave him the easiest compromise ever.
It's like, is this even about the cruise anymore? Or is it about something deeper in their relationship?
Right, like maybe a communication breakdown or different values.
And, while some people were suggesting she have an honest conversation with her boyfriend about his concerns, others were like, if he's really willing to throw away 8 years over this, maybe it's a sign that the relationship was already in trouble.
Makes you wonder, right? Like, is this the cruise that breaks them up or just the straw that broke the camel's back?
This whole story has become more than just about this one couple, It's like a mirror reflecting all these bigger questions about what we expect from relationships and how we balance our own desires with the needs of our partners.
Exactly. It's like we're all kind of looking at this situation and asking ourselves, what would I do?
Yeah.
It makes you think about your own values and boundaries.
It's crazy how one Reddit post can spark all these big conversations.
Right. Like we start with this one couple and their cruise drama, and suddenly we're talking about societal expectations and gender roles and what makes a healthy relationship.
It's like a domino effect. One thing leads to another, and boom, you're questioning everything.
Totally. And this comment really brought that home for me. It said, if you were to somehow win an award or trip in the future and it was close, they might not pick you because of how you handled this current trip.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. It's like they're saying this whole cruise situation could have a ripple effect on her career.
Right. Like it might seem like a personal decision, but there can be professional consequences too.
Especially if her boss sees it as her not being a team player or not appreciating the opportunity.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, how do we balance those personal relationships with our career aspirations? Ideally, our partners would be supportive, right? Cheering us on.
Oh, totally. But as we've seen in this story, it doesn't always work out that way.
Real life is messy. Sometimes there are insecurities or power imbalances that get in the way.
And this case is like the perfect example of that. It's like a textbook case of relationship red flags.
Seriously, the controlling behavior, the double standards, the lack of communication, the ultimatums, it's all there.
Yeah, it's like a crash course in what not to do in a relationship.
But as much as this story highlights the negative, it also reminds us that we have the power to make choices, you know?
Like, even if it's hard, we can choose to prioritize our own well-being.
Exactly. And sometimes that means walking away from relationships that are no longer serving us.
It's tough,
Hmm.
but it's important to remember we all deserve to be in relationships that are healthy and supportive.
Absolutely. And, speaking of healthy and supportive, we love diving deep into these fascinating topics, but we couldn't do it without our amazing community.
That's right. So if you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure to subscribe to Shauna Pelag's YouTube channel and check out the Voices of the Soul podcast for even more thought-provoking content.
And don't forget to like and share this video with your friends. Let's keep these conversations going.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.